participating in one of the group to provide inputs and additional thoughts, revise together perhaps some of the strategic activities, as I mentioned yesterday during the dinner. Try to be selective, pragmatic in not necessarily selecting and being exhaustive in the list of activities. Prefer to start small and with something that we can realize together rather than having a long list of Christmas that we will not be able actually to deliver. Regarding the themes, something that we were discussing with Eric, Hiba, and Charlotte is the context. Take into consideration that we have you have your national priorities, but we have also a regional endeavor. We have regional differences at all levels of the organization, different health system development, countries that are in conflict, in a phase of moving out of conflict, how actually this entail in terms of doing something for them so that don't feel also excluded. And so the availability of resources might really differ, the humanitarian context and the conflict. So think perhaps about those elements, and we are trying, to engage in a 2-year time frame with some measurable outcome. We will not, discuss the indicator here, but what would be the outcome? What would be the milestone? If you have to think, okay, I would like to do that activity, and after 2 years, what would be the element that will say, yes, I reached there, and we are, as a group, we are satisfied of this. So perhaps thinking about what would be a verse. And as I mentioned yesterday, we would support as much as possible as a secretariat, but there might be some input that you need, some resources to develop some of the activities. Just flag them at this point. What kind of element do you foresee? So the first element is really to agree on, have some time to discuss among the group, first the topic and what comes around that for policy and for better integration of palliative care services within the health system of the region. The human resources aspect is not only about the team composition, the skills competency, but also element of training, guidelines, adaptation, what is needed actually to deliver palliative care services and build human resources. And the aspect of services is how, different type of services, hospital, home-based, community level, at different level. Maybe a specific focus that I would recommend is really the discussion about primary health care. I don't see much happening in the region, to be frank. So this is something that we would like to stress, how we do it, what would be, the approach. And you have those guiding questions that maybe at the beginning you might just go through rapidly and see if there's things that we that we have missed, or some clarification that would be needed. And the 3 or 4 of us, from the secretariat will, from the team that organize, will be among. So we are spread out. We are not all in the same group. So if there's any question, please get back to us. I just want to give a few minutes now. Eric asked me, they have done some work that he presented briefly yesterday. We wanted to give him the floor about the estimate of the need for palliative care based on the Lancet Commission. Just a few minutes and then we can organize ourselves. I would suggest, since the table are moving, you can turn them and you have the flip chart. We can maybe move one of the flip chart here. So we occupy the space and you have, you are comfortable to work in groups.
Sabah al-Khair, morning. Miranda is handing out to you a hard copy of the estimated need for palliative care in each of your countries using the data from the Lancet Commission. So what you will see is a list of the 20 ICD-10 health conditions that most commonly generate a need for palliative care, or what the Lancet Commission called serious health-related suffering. I think it's better called serious illness-related suffering. But anyway, it's the need for palliative care. So you will see that cancer, or as it's called, malignant neoplasms, typically generate a lot of the need. But cerebrovascular disease is very common. In some countries, injuries, so for example, in Afghanistan, a lot, and Syria, injuries is very high. You'll also notice one column for decedents, that is, people who died in 2015. These are data from 2015. People who died of each condition in 2015 who needed palliative care. And another column, I believe, is another column is non-decedents, those who did not die in 2015, but had that condition and needed palliative care. And then the total number on the right-hand column of people with each condition who needed palliative care, and down at the bottom right corner is the total number of people in each country who needed palliative care. It does not give any data on how intense the need was, whether they needed palliative care every day or just once a month, and it doesn't give the data on how long. We have those data, but I didn't put all of that into the handout. Any question about that? Yes, please. No, what you're holding in your hand is just Egypt. And so we did estimates for each country represented in the room. The whole world, the total number I showed on the slide yesterday, 25 million people who died in 2015 needed palliative care, 35 million who didn't die needed palliative care. The total is 60 million. We made these estimates just for your countries. So for Morocco and for Sudan and for, who's next? Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, Egypt. And Miranda handed out to each of you the one for your country. Yeah, please, Dr. Shamari.
We did calculation in different ways. We have what we call it crude death rate, estimated crude death rate for our population. Then, for example, for cluster 2, which means 1.5 million population, the crude death rate according to the WHO, the population have crude death rate is 5,000 annual per year. And then we have 75% of that for chronic disease as a palliative care.
So we estimated for each condition how many people who die need palliative care for how long, how many people who don't die. So it's very, very detailed by condition. It actually gets extremely detailed. It's not only details on how many people needed it, but for what problem, for pain, for how long, for dyspnea, for how long, for anxiety, for how long. So there's a lot more data. This is just very basic. We thought it might be useful for planning.
How different is the number that you get that you're selling for using your calculation?
Our calculation in all countries will reach 80,000.
And what did you get for this one?
83.
83. So it's fairly close.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. We calculate it in a different way, which gives a similar, almost similar.
There's an expression in English about great minds come to the same conclusion or something like that.
Can you send it to us, please, electronic copy with all this?
I have requested permission. I need to get permission from the chairman of the
The second
legislature.
question, there is another way of classifying these diseases. Because he is lost in life,
Values and qualities, yes.
Yes, but because this speaks about death and dying, it could be directly caused by the disease.
This is a fascinating question. I don't want to take too much time, but what the Lancet, well, I've already taken too much time. What the Lancet Commission, some of us on the Lancet Commission discovered in the course of 4 years of work is that DALIs and qualities are based on the idea of productivity and not on suffering. So what the Lancet Commission proposed was SALIs, suffering adjusted life years. But that requires a lot of mathematical work and a lot of research. But that is a project for the future. Not just what reduces human productivity, but what reduces quality of life, what suffering.
And this goes for adults as well as children.
That's adults and children, yes. Sorry, thank you.
Okay, if there is no additional remarks, suggestion, we will be split in the working group.
Should we adjust the tables?
Yeah.
So we have some time moving the tables?
So we have maybe policy, human resources, and clinical sciences.
انا حاطط الكابل هيك ما بدي اذا بدي اتحرك
Well, like this. It's more like sitting around. Well, they are So like this, there's a lot all the other countries. I'll ask the bishop. No, if that's not America, that's one. The global data are free on the website, but not individual data. It takes me about an hour to know. Well, how long did it take? Yeah, we got, in the beginning it took an hour to do this. At the end it took about 5 minutes, I think, to make it fun. But we have to look at the global data and then figure it out for each country. It should be on the website. It should be. Well, that doesn't exist yet, but that's, there's, in the Lancet Commission report, there's a call for creating a suffering adjusted the method for doing it. So these are mathematical formulas to calculate values and inequalities. There's a very complex mathematical formula that I don't understand, as I don't do it. It's very complicated.
Yes, I came back from this.
My sister said to me, over what time period?
Please have a seat. Yourself on the groups. I think the first element, as I mentioned, is to identify in each of the group who would be chairing, the rapporteur, and the person taking note. Oh, yeah.
Because they're going to be doing work.
So where do you see? Okay, it's fine. Because Khairat is in policy, be human resources.
Yeah,
Distribute
one of them
yourself.
should be in human
Huh?
resources, I think.
Okay.
Would that make services too small?
No, I mean as long as we have 4 or 5 people, I
Okay.
think it's okay.
يلا جاي. So, either you or Miranda can go to human resources. I'm not doing human resources.
سليم الدكتور تبعك جاهز.
So should we open up the
Actually, maybe we need a little more direction. I'm a little confused.
The main issue
as well as capacity building on practicing. Provide primary, secondary, and secondary practice. It also covers specialist training, licensing criteria, and palliative care clinical practice.
So who would be the stakeholder?
And the questions are where are the priorities for palliative care? So we can think what level and what professions. What licensing criteria can be applied effectively to based on existing standards. And drawing on collective experience, what palliative care should be recommended and applied based on applications, practice guides,
what time will be
We need that content moderator.
It's more it's much easier to apply than what it's we can do something unified. Basically, I believe this would be what we need now is just basic.
There's a very high solid position. So the idea again is not, is first to look at these questions, answer the questions, and then specifically for each activity that, or each recommendation that we have, how should this be implemented in the region, not in individual countries? Who should take the lead? What assistance would be needed?
And that's why I was thinking.
So just to read out loud, in discussing our questions, consider your national priorities as well as regional priorities, and I think the emphasis is on regional priorities. Consider regional differences in levels of development and resources. Consider stable settings versus settings where there's a humanitarian crisis. And focus on interventions achievable within a 2-year time frame. Resources were available and have measurable outcomes. So our group, which of course is the best group, to discuss models of integration of healthcare to existing healthcare services. So the emphasis there is not on